Hi guys, thank you for joining me on such a beautiful day. I wanted to share a story that we don't think about very often. It's there in the Gospels, and it's where Jesus is teaching the crowds, and then someone from the crowd comes to him and says, Jesus, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me. What's going on here is that in Jewish culture, it was customary for the older brother to get a double portion of the inheritance. So this younger brother is feeling a bit hard done by, he's feeling a bit stung, he's feeling some injustice from this. So he goes to Jesus and he says, Jesus, tell my brother to split the inheritance. He's probably hoping that Jesus, being wise, compassionate, and spiritual, will correct the situation and will say to the older brother, "Come on, older brother, you need to be generous and give some of that extra money to your younger brother." That's his hope. But Jesus' response is this: He says, "Who appointed me judge or arbiter over you?" It's very common in Jesus' interactions when people ask questions or make requests of Jesus that he actually responds with questions, and he usually does it to stimulate people to think, to really challenge them to go deeper. What are you thinking? What are your motives here? And I think the first thing, his response with a question, is getting this guy to think about, why have you come to Jesus? Why do you think Jesus is going to sort out your dispute? What's going on here? This younger brother is looking for an authority figure. He's looking for someone who can basically rule over the situation and say to the older brother, no, you've got to do this because I've said you've got to do this. So this younger brother is looking for an authority figure. So when Jesus says, why have you come to me? Who appointed me judge or arbiter over you? He's saying, why do you think I have authority? What's going on? And I think what Jesus is doing is challenging this young man to think about who he really is. That's the kind of starting point. So anything he says after that is going to be in the context of that question, or more correctly, the context of the answer to the question. Why does Jesus have authority? And once we understand that, we can then follow the next part. So Jesus says this afterwards. He says, beware of all forms of greed. He basically names it. This guy says, your heart is being selfish, you're being greedy in this. Beware of all forms of greed, for life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Life isn't about accumulating wealth and possessions. That's not where you're going to find the life. He recognizes that actually on one level we're all seeking for life. Whether this guy wanted extra possessions because he wanted more security in his life, more comforts, he wanted to maybe wear better clothes. It could even be something like providing for his family. There could be good motivations for money. All of that is beyond the text. We don't know that. But what Jesus does here is he says, you've just got the wrong motivation, the wrong direction. You're living for the wrong thing. You've essentially interrupted my teaching of these kind of spiritual truths, teachings about the kingdom of heaven, to ask a question like this. And so it's getting this guy to think, who do you think I am? Why do you think I have authority? That's a more important question. And then he challenges the guy's heart and says, okay, if we're looking at this situation, what should you do? What's right? What's wrong? The right thing to do is to reflect on your heart. The right thing to do is really stop and reflect and think about, is your heart right in this situation? So on the one hand, this young man was hoping that Jesus might challenge his brother and say, just brother, be generous. Come on, give your younger brother some of that inheritance. But really, Jesus' response was to this young man who had come to him and said, no, actually, don't have a sense of entitlement. You shouldn't have a sense of selfish greed. You shouldn't be trying to get an authority to preside over your relationship with your brother and tell him to give you stuff. That's not a healthy attitude. Get your heart right and get your motives right. Focus on the right thing. Life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. It's interesting that Jesus, his focus is on life. I want to give you life. In John 10:10, Jesus says this: I came that they may have life in all its fullness. He came to bring us the very fullness of life, the fullest possible life we can have. Life is found in an intimate, loving, trusting, faith-filled relationship with Jesus, day by day, walking with him, following him, trusting him, and experiencing the infilling and the empowerment of his Holy Spirit living in us and through us. That's life. That's what Jesus wanted to bring us. And when we set our goals on possessions, on accumulating wealth, life doesn't consist in that. It doesn't consist in the abundance of possessions. It's not about amassing wealth and accumulating money. That's not life. Life is to walk with Jesus. Right, I'm going to leave it here for today. So thank you for joining me today. Wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, God bless you. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.